Alright, so here's Sally's dress so far. It's not, this is just the front part of it. So I just bought regular fabric that had no patterning on it. And then I painted the fabric, the designs on the fabric with fabric paint. That took a while because I'd have to do a couple coats each line. So it would be nice and solid. It's not perfect. You know, of course, after I've done it, I've definitely realized that there were some mistakes. Like, this needs to be closer to here. I was really trying to match the pattern of her actual dress. These lines are not on the original design. This should have been a little bit further over so that I wouldn't have to fill this in. But everything else is pretty much to the design of her actual character. This was also not perfect, but I tried to do the best I could. It was actually pretty difficult to find decent pictures of the real character, because there's a lot of like statues or drawings of her that are not from the original movie, and it's just people's interpretation of what her fabric looks like. And I actually wanted the real deal, which I found to be really difficult to locate good. I even took the movie myself and went through the entire movie to see if I could get good screenshots, and it was hard because the lighting wasn't really good, the angles aren't very good, so it was a lot of guesswork to find out what I could. So yeah, so that's the front of Sally's dress. I haven't started on the back of Sally's dress. So these are individual pieces that I designed my own pattern. Here, I'll show you the pattern. So this is the pattern that I made. I used tracing paper. I just took a dress that already fit me and kind of laid it out and laid tracing paper over, and then kind of figured out where the different fabric would line up to. As you can see, I made some mistakes. I had to kind of white out some lines so I didn't cut out the wrong size of fabric. Actually, I did cut out the wrong size of fabric and realized I needed to change it because it looked incorrect. So, so that's that, and I'll show you. So I didn't cut this up because I didn't want to lose my place on the different, where the different pieces lined up with each other. I need the original design. So I use what's called, oh, what the heck is this stuff called? It's kind of almost like a carbon paper for fabric. To be quite honest with you, this was incredibly difficult for me to find. I knew that this stuff existed because my mom is a quilter, and so I knew it existed. I'd used it before, I'd seen her use it, but it was so incredibly hard to find because it was like, what do you call it? You call it fabric carbon paper? Like, what do you call it? But this is actually, this particular, it's chalk copy, I don't know. It's, that's, if you like go to Amazon, you can find this. That's what you can type in to find it. So what you do is you take your pattern, and I'm not going to have it right now, but you would lay it over your fabric, the back side of your fabric. You put this carbon paper, so the carbon side's going to right against the fabric, and this is called a tracing wheel that you can also get on Amazon for just a few dollars. There's different shapes and sizes. I particularly wanted the one with a little bit pokier edge. You can find some that don't have such a pokey edge. And then you would actually trace along your line onto the fabric, and it carbons, and this is washable, by the way. So it carbons, see if I can get this to focus, onto the fabric. So you know, you would usually use this as a cutout line, but I knew I needed some extra space for sewing. So that would be typically where you would cut along your carbon line. And if somebody knows the actual correct term for this, they can post it on here, but I'm not really sure. So there's different colors available for your different types of fabric. So like you use white on black fabric, you know, you're just going to use what's going to show up best on the fabric colors. So you do this to the back side of the fabric so that you, well, I guess it doesn't really matter, but it is washable. So when you get everything, you know, sewn together, you can wash it and it should go away. So this is the back side of Sally's dress. It was incredibly difficult to find the correct proportions for the fabric. So I'm not totally positive if this is correct. And I realized when I cut out my fabric, I kind of messed up a little bit because this should have been attached to the other side. You know, it should have been all one piece, and this is, as you can see, like I designed kind of what each piece was, so I knew what the heck was going on. But this should have been attached to that big long pink piece of fabric. To this one, you know, it should have all just been one piece of fabric. But I don't know. I needed to make this as easy as possible, so I'm just going to go ahead and try to match it up as much as possible and sew along the edge and see where it goes, and hopefully it doesn't look too bad. So yeah, that's the back side. I'm going to post some pictures of this. There was an artist that kind of drew out the pattern on DeviantArt, and I took a lot from there and pictures to really help me lay out where exactly each of the pieces on her fabric or on her dress would go. And that was really helpful. I'll post the link to that, and I'm really appreciative to that artist for taking the time and laying out Sally's dress in a pattern. Okay, so plans for the rest of the costumes. I want to make this as easy as possible on myself. So I think for the suit, I'm just going to have Tom go to a thrift store and pick out a cheap suit that fits him, you know, black slacks and a black coat. I am going to have to do some adjustments to the coat, which is fine. It'd be easier than having to make something from scratch, because Jack's, you know, jacket comes out a lot further than a standard, you know, jacket coat would come out. So I would have to do some modifications to the chest line. So we're probably gonna have to do that soon so I can get started on it. In case I destroy it, we can go buy another one. So I'm just gonna try to make that as cheap as possible and, you know, get something at a thrift store, because why not if it's already made. And I plan to paint white stripes on it, because Jack's stripes aren't uniform. They're not even, and you know, the stuff that I find online, all the pre-costume done, everything's like very uniform. So I want it to look, you know, as much like Jack as possible. Granted, you know, Jack is really slender and really tall, so it's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to try to do my best. So I'm going to also paint those on with white fabric paint. I don't know if I'm going to use this stuff because I've tried this on something else. Oh, I'll show you what else I've tried this on. I've tried this on something else, and it's not very opaque. It's kind of transparent, and you have to paint several layers on. So I'm not really sure exactly if I'm going to use this or not. I might maybe see if I could use another brand. But I've used the black version for, you probably can't see this, it's Tulip Slick Dimensional Fabric Paint. I just happen to have this. I didn't go out and buy this. I want to try to use as much of stuff that I already have. So for the black stuff, I've had to probably do about 3 layers for it to be a nice solid black and not the color of the fabric coming through. So I'm assuming I would have to do that for the white as well, even more so. So for Jack's hands, I went on Amazon and found these. I noticed there was another YouTuber who also made a Jack costume, and he had skeleton gloves, and I really liked the idea. So I found these for pretty cheap on YouTube. They're not like super good quality. They're obviously very costumey. It's soft, rubbery. I don't like how dark the bones are, because Jack's got pretty white bones, you know. So I was originally trying to use this paint to whiten it up, and I've already got 1 layer on there, and it looks like I virtually did nothing. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is take like white acrylic paint and touch it up. I don't want it to be like perfect, but I have painting experience, so I'm gonna try to do some, you know, make it a little whiter, but not completely perfect, like solid white, you know. And then I might seal it with something like this, so it's got a seal on it, because acrylic, you know, we'll just like scratch it off. So we need something that can seal it and not get scratched off. So those are going to be Jack's hands, as I drop them. Jack's hands. And I'm still waiting on Sally's wig. That was really hard to decide on what exactly wig I wanted. A lot of the wigs either are super expensive and I can't afford super expensive, or they all have bangs on them, or even just long bangs that come to the side. And as you know, Sally doesn't have long bangs. She's all one length. She's parted down the middle, and she's got pretty long hair. So I debated if I wanted to make my own wig out of like yarn, because, you know, if you notice, like her hair is like, you know, kind of solid, and it doesn't move a whole lot, you know, because it's claymation. So I debated if I wanted to follow that or if I just wanted to use like a regular hair. So I ordered something. I think it's coming. I ordered it on Amazon. I think it's coming in from like China or something, so it's going to take a while before it gets here. But we'll see. We'll see if I like it, or if not. I don't know. And then the next project I need to figure out is working Zero's costume. Now, originally I wanted to make a face, you know, long face nose for Zero, because I wanted it to be really, you know, authentic and look well, you know, do a good job with the ears and stuff. But Donato is going to be 1 year old, and he's going to pull anything off of his face. So I think I might just make a little hood with ears and maybe put a little pumpkin nose or something on his face, because he's just going to pull anything and everything off. So I think he's going to look the least authentic out of the three of us. Or he might start the party off looking really cute, and by the end of it is a total mess. So who knows if that's going to work or not. So I'm kind of going to leave his costume till the, you know, the last part of it, because his is probably going to be the easiest. I mean, it's a little ghost dog. It's going to be the easiest to kind of pull together. I mean, if not, I just make some ears, and that's pretty easy, and put a white sheet over him, and yeah, it'll look pretty generic, but you know, sometimes when you're crunching at the last minute, you do what you gotta do to get it done. So I'm gonna post everything in the links, like all the details, information, like that fabric carbon paper stuff that you can get, and you know, the magic sculpt. Post some links to where I got everything, if I can. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, that's a little bit, this is like part one, so I will, as I progress through each part, I will update you so you can see how it's going.